Now, what's next for Gretchen Barretto in this case where she has also been tagged as a suspect? And joining us tonight is her lawyer, Attorney Alma Mallonga of Sigyon Reyna, Montecillo, and Onshaco Law Firm. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story, Attorney.
Hi, hello, lady. Sis, Sean, and Pauline. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, our first question relates to new revelations made by Totoy, because your statement may have come ahead. He had spoken to Ted Filon this morning and claims to have witnessed a meeting where Miss Gretchen Barretto was present, where the killing of the so-called cheaters in Sabong were discussed to be killed because the business would suffer if they weren't going to send a strong message to these cheaters. Ano pong response ninyo, attorney?
My response is that first, it's so absurd. The fact of the matter is that Mr. Whistleblower has been embellishing his story. Remember when he first came out, it was very clear that his basis for speculating Miss Gretchen Barretto's participation is his suspicion that she must somehow be involved. She must, because she's so close to Mr. Atong An, she must know something. If there were any such meetings that occurred, why wouldn't have said so in the beginning? In fact, he did not tag Miss Barretto as a mastermind. He named 3. He only said that, Miss Barretto must know something about this. She should know. She should be investigated and urged to say what she knows. Later on, he suddenly changed his mind. Now, naging mastermind na si Miss Gretchen Barretto. And he spoke of a certain meetings without elaboration. And then finally, this supposed bombshell from news where supposedly Miss Barretto was in a meeting where discussions were had on the disappearances. It's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. It's not even logical. And it just proves that he's embellishing his stories, maybe because he's been advised by people or his advisors or even a lawyer that, it's not enough. What you've been saying is not enough. You have to say more. You have to invent more. And so it's pure invention. It's so clearly an invention. And by the way, Mr. Whistleblower, even your embellishment is not really very useful, because what you have to show is active participation in the commission of the crime, even if it's so ridiculous. But even if Miss Gretchen Barretto knew about it, she maybe agreed to cooperate in that fancy scenario, that would not even amount even to conspiracy. There needs to be an overt act showing that she committed something in furtherance of the crime and that she had an actual participation in the commission of the crime. So sorry. You can embellish some more, but what you're saying does not amount to any participation on the part of Ms. Gretchen Barretto.
Let's go into her involvement in the business. You do admit she's an investor. Does she belong to this supposed Alpha group? What is this Alpha group?
My understanding is that there are 2 groups. There's the Alpha group, A group, and then there's also a B group. 2 different kinds of investors. But I think the Alpha group is one where you get more return for your investment. Ms. Barretto knows that I think she became aware and came to know of the Mr. Whistleblower because he's also an investor. And they participated in events related to the cockfighting, to the sabong. As you know, Ms. Barretto has not been shy about her involvement in the sabong. She has been seen in videos actually participating in the events. Merong mga okasyon where she released the cocks just to grow interest in the business. That's her participation.
Strangely though,
yes,
she disappeared from social media, took a low profile, and it coincided with the disappearance of the sabongeros. Was she
I'm so
concerned? Was
sorry.
it because she was concerned? Did she?
No, sorry. Oh, okay. Sige, sis. Please
Oh,
continue.
what was the reason for that? Or did she express any concern at all? This was 3-4 years ago. Being an investor in a business where, you know, your people disappear, it's bothersome.
Yes, I am not aware that Miss Barretto suddenly disappeared from
Took a
social
low
media.
profile, perhaps is the word I should have used.
All right. All I can say is that there were, in fact, investigations conducted some years back. In fact, this resulted in the submission and preparation of a report by the Senate. I think it was finalized in May of 2022. And there was a discussion on investigation on the disappearances. I understand that there were at least 3 hearings, exhaustive transcripts. And the conclusion there is that there's a need to investigate more. And no, nothing of the allegations of the sort that are being made now have been made, no? And there is certainly no evidence to show that Ms. Barretto was somehow linked to the disappearances. You know also says, of course, that during those periods, there were also efforts already to try to declare e-sabong illegal, no? And to suspend. In fact, it was the operations were suspended sometime in 2022. And you can say perhaps that it's because of that controversy about the legality of the operation itself that maybe spurred Miss Barretto to take a more low profile, if that was in fact the case. But I can't confirm that. No?
Just to follow up, Attorney Mallonga, no, you mentioned already the Senate hearing that was conducted by the committee of Senator Bato. That was in 2022, right at the tail end of the Duterte administration. After that, the recommendation of the committee was to continue the investigation. Meron bang nag-reach out from the NBI or the PNP sa camp ninyo ni Ms. Gretchen Barretto to get more information or nada?
No, none. And maybe because, you know, if you look at the Senate hearings, and I'm starting to take a look more closely at it, there's no indication of any involvement on the part of Ms. Barretto.
Right.
She's not involved in the operations at all.
So, Attorney, let's talk about the alleged extortion that took place. When did this exactly happen, and how did Julie Patidongan reach out to Ms. Barretto, and how much was he asking?
Okay. My understanding was that the effort was made not by Mr. Whistleblower, but through a certain Mr. Brown. I think he's the pseudonym of Alan Bantiles. And this effort came just days before Mr. Whistleblower came out in media to come out with his supposed explosive revelations. And the message to Ms. Barretto at the time was, you know, Mr. Whistleblower is going to come out with something explosive. Why don't you call his wife? The wife, I think they're the same name, parang Julie rin. You know? But anyway, he said, call the wife of Mr. Whistleblower. Try to make a deal so that your name will be excluded from the list. There were no further discussions on how much, because Ms. Barretto did not try to call the wife of Mr. Whistleblower. It stopped there. She had nothing to hide. What was she going to negotiate for? What was she going to pay anything for?
So is she going to file a case against Totoy as well, like Mr. Atong Ang?
Alam mo, so many people have been asking me about that. Of course, it's always on the table. But one of the things that I did tell Gretchen was that it's so obvious, no? The case against you is so fabricated. It's so thin. Napakanipis. It's nothing but malicious speculation, opinion, invention, fantasy, etc. That right-thinking people, if they really look at it, it's very obvious that it's false. It's fantasy.
Yes, Attorney.
So yet,
Yun nga pero pinangalanan siya by no less than DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla. How does Ms. Barretto feel about that, no? Having said what you just did, and pinangalanan sila mismo, specifically ni Mr. Atong Ang.
Alam mo, actually, I was very concerned and was very frustrated last night when I read that bit of news that Secretary Remulla named Gretchen Barretto as a suspect. But upon further review of the material and what he actually said, what Secretary Remulla actually declared is, yes, of course, Ms. Barretto is a suspect because she was named by the whistleblower. What this means very clearly to me is that you can call anybody suspect. Anybody can be named by the whistleblower. And Mr. Remulla, Justice Secretary Remulla, would not, of course, being the responsible officer that he is, would not make a decision right then and there to say, oh, there's no basis for this. So I think she said Ms. Barretto is a suspect. Let's further investigate. We cannot drop the case against her because she was named. But we're so confident, as I said, that we trust that in fact what is going to take place is a thorough, objective assessment where sinabi rin ng Office of the President, they support the investigation, but warns that you need to have substantial evidence. Allegations are not evidence. Suspicion is not evidence. No, so if there is proof, then go ahead. No, but as of now, that's not the case. So I'm now comforted by the fact that when Justice Secretary Remulla says Ms. Barretto is considered a suspect, it just expresses the objective fact that she has been named by the whistleblower. Whether or not the allegations and accusations against her carry any weight is a totally different matter altogether.
On the other hand, on the other side of the coin, will she cooperate with the DOJ in its investigation? She would have some extensive knowledge, being an investor, being a member of the A group.
All right. If she is called, she will investigate. If she will be subject to investigation, of course she will cooperate to the extent possible and in accordance with law, no? But just to remind you, Ms. Gretchen Barretto is just one of the investors, and I trust that part of the investigation will try to see the participation of many others, and I'm very, very sure that when that happens, what will turn out is the fact that the disappearances of the sabongeros have little to do with the investment. The investment does not mean that you have an interest in making the sabongeros disappear. There's no connection. In any event, to answer your questions,
there may be no connection, but in the conduct of your business, if something this terrible is happening, and it is it's 34 supposedly the complaints that have been filed, but now the number has even reached over 100. As an investor, you should be concerned, would you not?
Yes, and I understand that Ms. Barretto did try to ask what this was all about. And she was told that it had nothing to do with the business, and that this concerned perhaps some controversies between some of the bettors themselves, who might have felt aggrieved by reports of the scam, no, the cheating.
She kept her investment. The investment is still there. It's not been withdrawn. Has she been? Did she get out of the business?
No, I have to ask that because the fact of the matter is the operations have been suspended. I have not asked her what happens now, no? Because for all intents and purposes, there is no e-sabong. You can.
Well,
so
I am not sure also about that, because there are reports that e-sabong still continues from
underground.
from abroad, but the IP address is not in the Philippines, so it's skirting the law. So
I do not know if Miss Barretto is involved in that. I would be be surprised if she is.
Okay. Attorney, let's just go back and circle back to the beginning, no? Alias Totoy, and then we have alias Brown. Miss Gretchen Barretto, she knows these people. Parang. Di ba? But what is the nature of her...
kumpare ba niya si Totoy?
I'm not even comparo. You have to, this is, I'm not engaged in sabong, no? Hindi ko
Hindi, kung
parang
ninang ba
hindi
siya
ko
ng
kasi-
anak niya? I guess,
No.
that's not.
What happened? What I understand is that between the
Sorry to interrupt.
among investors, meron silang parang social chat group, and mainly the subject of the chats are about the schedules of the events. If you are participating in those events, if you are participating in derbies, if you have a cup which is going to compete in the derby, mga ganun. Mainly scheduling and keeping up to date about activities. What surprised me pala, I did not know this, was that the cockfighting, parang 23.5 hours raw yan, halos the whole day.
Yes.
Continuously. And because Miss Barretto, as all the other investors, were so interested in what was happening, they were there all the time. So of course you would meet people who are also investors. And I understand, as I said, that Mr. Whistleblower is also an investor. So he's part of the chat group that was devised for the purpose of updating all the investors about the events.
So he is an
That's it.
investor and not just a bodyguard, caretaker of the farm. And
That's what I
alalay.
understand.
So
Yeah,
A group
that's what
din
I-
siya, Miss Attorney?
Ang pagkakaintindi ko, yes, A and B.
A and B.
I might be wrong, no? I might be wrong because this was not so important for me, so I did not really confirm. But my understanding is that he is an investor. He himself said, I think that he is a millionaire or something because of his involvement in the business.
Attorney, what about the families of the victims? Did Ms. Barretto reach out to any of them? Because some families did say that when they lost their loved ones, Mr. Atong Ang reached out to them and offered help. Did Ms. Barretto also do the same or no?
I don't know if she did. All I know kasi is that Ms. Barretto is also a very generous person. Merong foundation kasi yung Pitmaster, which gives donations, very generous amounts to various people. And see, Ms. Barretto herself has her own foundation going on. I will ask her if she has actually reached out or done anything, or even directly or indirectly. But I have to tell you, she is interested. She shares the desire that there is that the truth will come out, that there is a thorough investigation, that somehow there will be closure for the families. She wants justice to be served. But as I said, justice can only be served if the investigation proceeds on the basis of facts and evidence and not malicious speculation, because that will misdirect mawawala ng focus. That will divert the attention to what should really be taken care of.
And while the
So,
DOJ attorney has not actually reached out to your camp yet, or Ms. Gretchen Barretto's camp yet, in the event that they do you think she actually has anything substantial to contribute to the investigation?
Based on what I know, I don't think so. Even Mr. Whistleblower, in his desperation to somehow link her, has not said so. He has not actually pinpointed to anything that she has actually done or that she has said. And even in those invented meetings where supposedly there was a voting made so ridiculous, he has not given any details.
There is another one, if I may interrupt, attorney, where
Yes, yes.
alias Totoy claimed to have been presenting a cell phone video of the execution of one of the missing persons, and Miss Barretto, Gretchen, was present when Atong Ang was watching the video.
Alam mo, napakadaling sabihin. What is his proof? And as I said, it's so, well, I feel sorry for Mr. Whistleblower. I suggest that he get advice of counsel. This is so very clear. The fact that Miss Barretto, to be clear, to be categorical, she knows nothing about this. Even if she did, even if she agreed to cooperate, which is not the case, that does not amount to any conspiracy, absent any overt acts on her part in actually carrying out the crime. So what is this? What is paninira lang, puri lang ito eh? Because at the end of the day, this will not amount to any violation of any crime, a conspiracy to commit any crime. There's nothing there. So what is this all about? It's to gather interest. And sa totoo na lang, ladies, no? I can understand. It makes no sense to mention Mr. X, who is an investor, as having participated in this. It makes no sense to pinpoint to any other figures. But it makes sense to say Gretchen Barretto because the name itself creates interest. It's so unfortunate. And I'm offended actually by the insinuations that form the basis for Mr. Whistleblower's suppositions of participation on the part of Miss Barretto. Please tell the truth. Please consult a lawyer because all that you're saying is really just paninirang pure. It doesn't amount to any participation in the commission of a crime.
Yeah. Attorney, what would trigger Ms. Barretto to finally file cases against alias Totoy? I'm sure there's a line that has to be crossed. Yes. What would it be?
Maybe we're nearing there. Nito na lang, Miss Barretto is so to be truthful, kayo ladies, no? If these baseless accusations are made against you and your name is, mudded up, and you would not be in a very good disposition. You would not be happy. So, Ms. Barretto right now is gathering her strength. I cannot say that she's happy, but I don't want to I don't want to make people happy by saying, for those who don't like Ms. Barretto, I don't want to give them the comfort of knowing that somehow Ms. Barretto is affected, But you are correct. There is a line to be crossed. We are discussing that. In any event, I've also said this to some people, and I might, the claims and the allegations are so fanciful. You don't need to file a complaint to show that it is. But as I said, she has a right to do so. And maybe we'll get to there sooner than later. Let's see.
Okay.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for your time, Attorney Alma Mallonga, Legal Counsel to Gretchen Barretto.